Hey, great morning. Dr. Sean J. Harris here at Generational Wealth Academy. Let's talk about reaching some goals. See, a lot of people don't get the outcomes that they want in life because they're not beginning or operating from a place of truth. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, many times we don't know what we don't know. Okay, well, all the time we don't know what we don't know. But so many times we operate on old belief systems or paradigms that we've had for many years. I always talk about education, for an example. I think so many times people get so caught up on thinking that based on their education, they're going to automatically get a certain amount of success by default. But we always talk about that as three different types of education. Hey, Hilda, it's three different types of education. You have a scholastic or an academic education. This is the education we get when we just learn how to read, write, arithmetics. This is designed for us to pretty much get a 9 to 5. Then we have a professional education. This is an education where we tend to hone in a little bit better on our particular or specific skill sets, such as being a doctor, an engineer, architect, anything like that. And then the third type of education, which just isn't taught in the school system, is a financial education. This is where we start learning about business acumen, financial literacy, the things that are going to yield us higher incomes, typically by being business owners or self-employed entrepreneurs. So it depends on what type of education you get. Now, when I talk about operating from a place of truth, many times we think we know something and we just keep going that same thought process, and it's not going to get us where we're going. I knew a truth when I was young, okay? Many of you guys who know me or seen me in person, I'm not the tallest person. I wasn't the biggest person in high school. I'm 5'6" now. In high school, I weighed maybe 140 pounds soaking wet. I used to wrestle in high school. Now, at my height and my weight in high school, I knew that I wasn't going to make it to the NBA. I knew that I wasn't going to make it on the NFL football field because I played football for like one season for 2 weeks. I got one good hit and got the wind knocked out of me, and I was like, no, this is not gonna be for me. I said I had to use my brain for something else. I played baseball. I did very well in baseball, but I found my sport was wrestling. I did exceedingly well in wrestling. I was ranked number 1 in Southeast United States, all kind of cool stuff. But here's the deal. I knew my truth. So I knew where I could build from. So many times that's what I'm saying. It's like if we get in a situation where we're operating from a false truth, we're going to keep going in that direction without a promise of success. And more than likely, you're not going to hit that level of success. Same thing. I remember growing up, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything about riding a bicycle. My dad and my brother went on a bike ride. We traveled probably like 13 miles that day on our bike in the neighborhood. Yep, that's when kids used to ride bikes. But my dad never really taught me how to use the braking system. So wherever I drove, I always drove on flat areas or maybe kind of up a hill a little bit, but I never had to really stop. And I remember coming down Flintwood Drive here in Atlanta. I was moving. I was traveling down the hill so fast, and all of a sudden I realized I didn't know how to stop. Because again, I was operating on a false truth. Now keep in mind, I told you this was like a 13-mile bike ride. And I didn't have to use the brakes the whole 13 miles until we got nearly to the end. So again, I was going so far in the ride. Like so many people go so far in life thinking that knowing what you're doing until it's time to put on the brakes. And you realize you don't know what you're doing. So that's what I mean when I say we're operating a lot of times from a false sense of truths. Many times, we've climbed corporate ladders. And then when we get to the top of the ladder, we realize that, you know what? Wow, this isn't what it all cracked out to be. So many times people crawl back down the ladder to run over and climb up another ladder. Well, sometimes in life, you really don't have time to just kind of gingerly crawl back down the ladder. Sometimes you need to just really jump off that ladder and build a different system and not just necessarily go that same route. So, that's one of the key things I want to talk about there as far as just knowing where you're operating from. Be truthful with ourselves. A lot of times we have this pride thing. Look, I went to school, I went to college, I got this degree, I'm supposed to be this or whatever. But if that isn't working, you got to do something different. You can't just keep going down that same path. at some point you gotta man up, you gotta woman up, you gotta put on your big boy, big girl britches, as my grandma would say. But you gotta level up and be honest with yourself to be able to make growth and changes and development. So that was just kind of a little message I wanted to put out this morning. Know your truth, operate from your truth, and then that's when you're going to really start seeing the growth that you really want to get. So guys, anything the Harris family and I can do to help you guys, that's one of our number one goals, is to be able to help people to achieve generational wealth goals. The things that we were taught growing up does not necessarily work today for our children, our grandchildren. So let's not teach them the same archaic methods that we may have learned, that we may have gotten from our parents, from our grandparents. That's not going to necessarily provide a value add for them as they're pursuing new pursuits. The way things are done now are so different. You know, every once in a while I break out an old item and put it in front of Kennedy and Katie just to see if they have a clue what it is, like a cassette player. I still got a cassette player, still got a DVD player. I remember we took them to try to operate a rotary phone. Kaden had no idea what it was. Kennedy said, I think this is a phone, but I still don't know how to use it. So we gotta change the paradigm thought of the way we do things if we're gonna get different results. And start really listening to your kids, because your kids can teach you a lot of stuff. I'm sure everybody on this live have kids or grandkids who either can program their phone, computers, the TVs, all that kind of stuff. But we have to change and grow with times, and we can't keep the mindset of the industrial age of doing things. Okay, so I got a lot of stuff I got to do this morning, so I just wanted to kind of jump on here before I got going. Just kind of put out a video. I hadn't gone live in a minute here on this platform, but figure out what your truth is and start operating from that though, and don't keep living on platforms of less than truth, because what's going to happen is you're going to start putting that foundation in place for your kids, and then they're going to start building on sand and not a solid foundation. All right, guys, I'm Dr. Sean J. Harris. We are past the halfway point of 2022. Time is running out to achieve your 2022 goals, so let's go.